Coming up on show 545, the VW ID.4 is spied, BMW 7 Series could go electric, and Electrify America plans robot charging. Those stories and many more. We're talking about MG sales in the UK going up, the cheapest electric bike that I've seen, and Tesla abandoning some R&D projects, plus lots more. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. My name is Martin Lee. Here is the news for Thursday, 1st of August, and what you may have missed in the last 24 hours. Thank you to a new producer of the podcast, RW Savage, sent me a note as well. I really admire your dedication to producing a high-quality show every day. The new connection with Avid Technology is also very promising. Congratulations. Well, thank you, RW Savage. That means a lot. Yes, Ask Avid. It'll be the first time that we do this when I'm back from my holidays in just over a week's time, actually, and we will be putting your questions to the industry leaders in EV technology to get them answered. Hey, thank you to Daniel Milford, by the way. He came to the end of his support on Patreon earlier this week on Tuesday. I want to take time to say, after 11 months of support, you are incredible, Daniel, one of my first patrons of the show. And I totally understand that people join up with Patreon. Some people get to the end, priorities change, they want to stop their support, whatever reason. Thank you so much. It means a lot. And thank you as well to MyEV.com, talking of my friends that have been with me since the start, for helping make this show. MyEV.com have got a cracking Instagram account, by the way. If you love Insta, go check them out on Instagram as well, and you'll see loads of used cars being posted on there. The world's first marketplace are about buying and selling EVs, only in the USA though. Make the most of it if you're lucky enough to have it. So a text message was sent to one of my friends, and it reads this: Tesla update. Great news! ! Your Model 3 will be arriving earlier than expected. Your estimated delivery window is between 7 of the 8, so that would be, they've done that in UK, so that would be the 7th of August, not the 8th of July, if you know what I mean. So, your window is between 7/8 and 20/8, so the 20th of August, in London Heathrow. Your invoice will be available shortly. Please prepare for payment. That's the text message they got. Sounds like the ship which sailed past me today. Yes, because I do live down by the seaside on the south coast of the country. I've been following the Twitter account of Morton Grove, who is at MortonLund89, and he's been tracking the Triumph Ace, which is now really close to the port of Zeebrugge, just past Dunkirk last time I checked. And that could well be the ship which is loaded with Model 3's right-hand drive versions for my friends here in this country. All right, let's get on with some more news. And this is the VW ID.4, the crossover or small SUV car from VW. Spy shots taken by Motor1.com. 2019 will be the year when Volkswagen launches its first mass production all-EV, dubbed the ID.3, the compact hatchback, the size of the, don't call it a Golf. It's basically a Golf, but don't tell anyone. They couldn't call it the Golf because they want to make a break from the past and welcome the new future. So, the car that looks like a Golf, is the same price of a Golf, same shape as a Golf, is now called the ID.3. It's going to be joined by a lifted crossover, whatever one of those is. A bit taller, better for families. The vehicle in question was previewed with a concept back in 2017, I think it was, and is now making its first appearance on public roads, according to spy shots on Motor1.com. As far as we can tell, the electric crossover is somewhere between a Tiguan and a Tiguan Allspace in terms of the exterior dimensions, with a bit more room in the cabin compared to the former. While the prototype confirms the production model will follow the design language of the concept, there are several major differences between the two. The production ID.4 will share its architecture with the ID.3. It's the MEB platform which will be used as a foundation for the all-wheel drive crossover SUV. It'll be powered by 2 electric motors, one for each axle. And according to early information, the electric powertrain will have a combined output of more than 300 horsepower, that's 224 kilowatts. Going to be a large battery pack providing a range of 310 miles or about 500 Ks actually, between 2 charges with a fast charging function at 150 kilowatt charge speeds. Already been confirmed for the launch in the US, unlike the ID.3. Production will take place at VW's Emden factory in Germany, and I don't think it's going to be called the ID.4. Do you? This to me, seems like the first time we will get a clear steer on where the ID family is going. We know that in many countries, in many parts of the world, Volkswagen have trademarked the numbers. If you know what I mean. ID.1, ID.2, ID.3, ID.4, ID.5. So, it just makes sense, in my brain, for the ID.3, the not a Golf, to be followed by a slightly bigger car. If you must do the comparison, oh heck, everyone's going to do it anyway. If the Model 3 is the first car that Tesla launched, the Model Y is going to be the very, very popular car that the families want, that crossover style, a bit taller, a bit more room. That's what the CROZZ is. So, here's my bet. I'm making this bet on the 1st of August 2019. This car will be the ID.4. It's got to be. I reckon it must be. Sorry for editorialising quite a lot there, but that's my opinion. Let's get back to the news. Within 2 weeks, MG has received 1,000 orders for its all-new ZS EV in the UK, says InsideEVs. High demand seems to be directly related to the value of the entry-level car of £21,500, just under that, and a free home charging station. MG put their offer in of £3,500 off to match the government grant of £3,500 off for the first 1,000 orders, which they've now reached and they've now extended for the next 1,000 customers. From MG themselves, they say this, apologies if this sounds a little bit press releasey, MG Motor UK has smashed its new pre-car sales records by securing 1,000 orders for its sensational MG ZS EV in just 2 weeks. Having officially launched the car to the press and public on the 17th of July, MG has experienced unprecedented demand as customers race to be one of the first 1,000 retail customers to snap up the high-tech electric SUV from 21,495. End press release. Well, the first 1,000 retail customers were able to benefit from that launch price because MG were matching the government grant. Combine those two things, £7,000 off the list price, and now the next 1,000 retail customers will also get what they're calling the MG grant to ensure that price continues. Also getting a complimentary home charging unit, an offer which will not be continuing though after the 1,000 customers is done. Those who were quick off the mark got the best deal. I don't know what unit they are putting in, by the way. My wife and I, we bought a brand new Renault Zoe last week from DSG in Morecambe, and new Renaults do come with a home charging station, and it's not something that I even asked about. I mean, it could be that the deal I got didn't include it, but I won't say. But the charger which, and you know, if you know, you know, and I'll say no more. The charger which gets put in with Renault, the company they've done the deal with, I'm sure it works very well. Not the one I want. So people might say, all right, money bags, you can afford to give up a free home charging station. Just not the one I want. I want the new Zappi, the second generation Zappi from My Energy, which is now, as of the last week, in the hands of customers. And it's a really smart charging station, works with your solar, it does a bazillion things that we'll tell you about in a future interview that I will do with them. So home charging stations are a great free perk, but not for everybody. I mean, I turned one down if it was being offered. The WLTP range of the MG ZS EV is 163 miles on WLTP. That's 262 Ks. So maybe bring that down by 10%, do you think? Maybe 12%? WLTP can be optimistic. 44.5 kilowatt hour liquid-cooled battery using CATL cells. 0 to 60, 8.5 seconds. 105 kilowatts of power. That's 143 PS. Right, moving on to a future BMW. The BMW 7 Series is a fabulous way to transport yourself. Maybe you even sit in the back of one if you have a driver. I would love the idea that listeners to this podcast are rich enough to have drivers, but if you're driving yourself, heck, the 7 Series is still a very nice place to be. One of the biggest projects in Munich this year focuses on the next generation BMW 7 Series. The luxurious limousine is seen as a reboot for the design language of one of the first vehicles to show us new design implementations, both inside and outside, it should be said. The G77 Series will be much bigger than its design. For the first time ever, BMW will also offer an all-electric 7 Series according to BMW blog, and they do have the inside track. Dubbed so far the i7, and why not? The new EV limousine is based on the 5th gen platform. This is the platform which BMW can build both fossil cars and EVs on. Don't know the full details yet. This is all very much speculation that it'll even be called the i7, that they'll even have an all-electric 7 Series, but sources are saying the battery pack capacity starting around 80 kilowatt hours and going up to 120 kilowatt hours. Density is higher, next level batteries are being used, 5th generation battery tech for BMW, and they're aiming for real life range of the 120 kilowatt hour pack of 700 kilometres. Well, if you're buying a top-of-the-range 7 Series, I don't think you're short of a bob or two, and maybe when you write that check, you won't be too worried about how expensive the car is, as long as it does everything that you need. A Jaguar I-Pace story now, and dealer inventory in the US is now comparable to 6 months of sales. All right, let me get my head around this, because, of course, dealer inventory is where the dealers buy the cars off the people who make them. So you can have a dealership and maybe half the lot is Jaguars and half the lot is, someone else. Sometimes they're exclusive, sometimes they're not, but the dealers buy the cars, then it's the dealer's job. It counts as a sale then, and the car companies have got them off their hands. Then the dealers have to shift those cars. So this is what this story is referring to. Dealer inventory in the US, now comparable to 6 months of sales of the I-Pace. The Jaguar I-Pace sales in the US and globally regularly average about 10% of overall sales of the brand, Jaguar. Not JLR, by the way, of course, Land Rover, Range Rover selling many cars. But how much is that demand going to continue, asks InsideEVs. During the first 6 months of this year, Jaguar sold just over 9,000 I-Pace units, 1,309 in the US. According to the latest news, dealers in the US have 1,338 I-Paces sitting in inventory waiting to be sold. That's about 6 months' worth of car sales, and that's on a car that's been available 9 months. This, combined with significant discounts below the recommended retail price, does raise a question with the I-Pace, at least in the US, about the demand for what is, let's face it, the 2019 World Car of the Year, and a very, very nice car it is too. Are people buying them? We'll follow this story. Moving on, and a first stab at clarifying how electric and hybrid vertical takeoff and landing aircraft will interact in our future urban air mobility was made recently by the European Aviation Safety Agency. Electric and hybrid vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, or EVTOLs, are something that many people think are a very real part of our future. Now, the safety agency is calling the EVTOL rule the first building block to enable the safe operation of hybrid and electric aircraft, according to CleanTechnica. The new special condition covers aircraft with a maximum takeoff weight of 3,175 kilograms, those carrying 9 passengers, and using lift and thrust units for powered lift and control. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just click on the link that I'll put in the show notes for you. And this is proper sci-fi stuff. This is vertical takeoff and landing, electrical aircraft. So it's what it says. It's like the Harrier jump jet. It's anything that's vertical takeoff. The fans, the jets, face downwards with electric power to raise these aircraft off the ground. Then they shift so that you get some forward movement. Very impressive. And many people, like I say, think has a very real future, and now the regulations are being put in place already to govern electric flight. Let's talk e-bikes. I'd love one. They're not cheap. So what do? Well, you could look at a company called Stark. They're trying to be the first company to provide an EV bicycle for the masses and pricing it under $400. That in itself is a difficult undertaking, considering a quality conventional bicycle can exceed that price point for even a beginner bike, says InsideEVs, who were lent one of these for some test riding. The bike has 5 levels of power, of electrical assist. Level 5, they say, is impressive. For a 12-mile round-trip commute, you can leave it in 1 or 2. It's all you really need. The components are entry-level components, if I'm honest, because at that price point, They have to be. Where the stark really shines is at the end of your day. If you are cycling to work and home from work after a 10-hour shift at work, if you're tired and faced with a headwind, the bike on level 3, 4 or 5 can make your ride home surprisingly enjoyable. InsideEVs got about 18 miles of range from a full charge. That's a lot less than the official, which is 30-something, I think, official range. But I'm going to pop a link in the show notes if you want to read more. Quick story on Tesla. They confirmed in a filing that they've abandoned $60 million worth of R&D, research and development efforts, but they didn't disclose the specific projects to Electrek. But Tesla did confirm later to Electrek that they said it is related to solar and energy products. Nothing to do with cars, but solar and energy products. $60 million worth of R&D has now been abandoned. You would hope so in a company that is spending more than $1 billion on R&D every single year, that at some point they get to a fork in the road with some projects where you go, these ones continue and these ones don't. So I would expect that to be happening. A reminder of the numbers though, and how much Tesla is spending on R&D in every part of their business. They're not resting on their laurels, are they? Electrify America are certainly something that many people will come to rely on in the future for long-distance journeys and mid-distance journeys as well. But how you charge your car on your Electrify America journey could about to get more robotic. Electrify America and Stable announced the collaboration to deploy the world's first commercial robot DC fast charging. It's going to be in San Francisco, going to be used for autonomous EV fleets, says InsideEVs. As part of Electrify America's plans, the company plans to conduct autonomous charging demonstrations to understand the optimal design, hardware and back-end solutions. Of course, autonomous vehicles don't have drivers. Nobody can get out and plug the things in. The back-end solutions need testing. Information from the first site will help companies evaluate appropriate business models for different autonomous fleet holders at various locations and doing them at commercial scale as well. These little robot designs they've kind of visualized look really cool. The robot Tesla arm that they did, remember that? That looked proper Terminator stuff. These robots also look really good as well in terms of automated charging. Well, as part of the Low and No Emission Grant Program, the Federal Transit Administration, the FTA, just announced $85 million in grant selections through the program. There are 38 different projects in 38 states, and they will each receive funding for either fuel cell or full battery electric bus projects and relevant infrastructure, says Electrive. I love a good electric bus. In different projects, the funds are being allocated for purchasing things like new vehicles, installation or upgrading of charging systems. The full battery electric buses that are being purchased or leased through these projects are being supported by a combination of en route overhead charging and plug-in depot chargers. Well, thank you very much if you go by the name of LJ Brownie on Apple Podcasts, because you left a review a couple of days ago saying, top notch, a superb podcast that has helped me really get into the world of EVs and place my order for one. And I get no more pleasure. I get no more pleasure when I see somebody leave a comment like this or send me a note saying, I was EV curious, I listened to your podcast, I watched some EV videos online, and now I've bought one. Hey, back to the review. Full of loads of information that's helpful and news, which is easy to listen to. Keep up the good work, Martin. Hey, look, I've told you, it's not good, and it's not work. And a great podcast, says Apatalis on Apple Podcasts. Another review came in just now that says, super informative, balanced and fun. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the global transformation towards electric transport, this is your podcast. If you get 2 minutes to leave a little review on Apple Podcasts or any of the platforms that you use. I downloaded a new app this week. It's called Castbox, and people can leave reviews on there. And I found a bunch that I'd never seen before. That was a nice day. I might start using that app, actually. I normally use Overcast. I'm on iOS, but I'll have a play. Let's do our question of the week this week. Thanks to myev.com for setting this. As EVs become more popular, do you think there's still a camaraderie amongst EV drivers? Let me know your thoughts. Email hello@evnewsdaily.com. Leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube. It is, of course, payment day for Patreon fans, so if you have come to the end of how much you want to support. I totally understand. I'm just grateful that you are there for me. There are 236 patrons of the show whose continued support does make this podcast happen. And if you're not yet a supporter, I don't know if you want to have a little think about going to Patreon, Patreon, in case you're wondering, .com/EVNewsDaily. And you can help support how this show is made. Hello to Phil Roberts of Electric Future. They are a premium partner of this show, along with Brad Crosby and Avid Technology. We're looking forward to our first Ask Avid shows when I'm back from my European trip next week. If you want to get any of the previous shows, they are online, 544 of those in the archive for free, and the show notes are in full at evnewsdaily.com. If you subscribe to the new shows, you get them first and free and automatically. Please share the podcast with someone who you think would be psyched about learning more about EVs. Say hi on the socials by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.